What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Country Bunkers Trains. Hope you're doing well. A very big welcome to all of the new subscribers. Hope everybody's doing good. Well, guys, I'm sure as you can tell by the title of this video, we've got some big news and updates coming to the O-Gauge layout. The other day, while shooting the video of running some steam engines around the layout and enjoying the trains, I got to thinking about doing another layout expansion to the first layout. You guys might think I'm crazy. Hell, I think I'm crazy. But yeah, running the trains got me thinking that I'd like to add another big outer loop to this layout to enable it to run some more big engines and equipment that might be coming or is coming here in the future. If you guys have been following along on the channel recently, you'll know that we just expanded this layout a few months ago, back in the November-December timeframe. We expanded this layout to enable it to be able to handle a loop of 072 track. I installed this track so we could run that big Yellowstone engine that we picked up a couple months ago. And just like everything else in the hobby, one's not enough. So I wanted to get another loop of at least 072 on the table to be able to run some more big engines. As I mentioned in a previous video, we have a big boy coming to the layout later this year. I thought it would be pretty cool to be able to run the big Yellowstone and the big boy together on the same layout versus just being able to run one of them at a time. Along with the big boy that's coming later this year, I also had my eyes on some other big scaled-in engines and equipment that are going to require a minimum 072 curve. Only having the one curve, like I say, you'd only be able to run one at a time. So I'd like to be able to run at least two. Currently, that Yellowstone is stuck to only running on this outer 072 loop on this layout, as well as the Southern Pacific Daylight is currently stuck to just that 054 center loop going around the layout. So this will open up possibilities and being able to run engines in other areas of the layout or on other loops. The layout used to have a subway route underneath the main tablework previously before doing this last expansion. Luckily, thanks to my laziness and something telling me not to continue on with putting the subway back in place, it's going to make this a lot easier tearing this back apart and building on to the layout and adding on to it. I do not plan on putting a subway route back under this table. I think I'm going to put the control center right here where this subway loop is currently. We'll move the subway loop to this table sometime in the future. With that said, I went ahead and started picking up some supplies. Went and picked up some track, some more grass, and some lock-ons for the new track to power it. As you can see, we went again with MTH reel tracks. I had a lot of questions and comments on this stuff. I figured over the next couple videos, we'd go over installing some of this stuff. A lot of people seem interested in it. But we ended up going with 082 curves. A little bit bigger than 072. Stuff looks good. Yeah, this is going to take up a lot of space, but I think it's going to be worthwhile. I think it's going to look great. Along with the reel tracks, I'm also picking up some Menards track for the upper loop as well. I'm picking up some 054 curves to go around this upper loop. Currently, I have 042 curves installed. 042, it works and it does its job. However, just as the track below it, it can't really support the bigger scaled size engines. If we get some 054 up on this top loop, we can then run the Daylight, as mentioned earlier, and some other big scale-sized Hudsons and whatnot here on the top loop. And of course, with all of the track, I'm also picking up some more lumber tomorrow to add on to the table. The last time I did an expansion on this layout, I did it fairly quick in a couple of days and didn't really shoot any footage. I figured this go-around will take our time, and I'll shoot some footage of the expansion actually happening. A lot of people seemed interested in that. To give you guys an idea, this is what I'm thinking of doing and where I'm thinking of adding on. This doesn't look like much, but it's going to be a good little bit of work. In order to do this, all of this layout is going to have to be ripped back up again. But I think it's going to be worthwhile. But I'm thinking of running the track this way. I wish I could come out a little bit further, but I cannot. I still want to be able to access the door that goes to the backyard. As well as over here, I don't want to jut out into the opening or the doorway into this room. So this will be the new track plan, and then of course the inner tracks, or the tracks that are already installed, will follow this same track plan. But we'll go into this in more depth in the next video when we go to install this stuff. I did have a lot of people commenting a few things about running the track and where to place the track. I had a lot of guys mentioning that I should form a bridge between the two layouts. And originally that was my plan. Back when this layout was mainly 042 track work, just as this table, that was the original thought and plan. Having a bridge go between the two layouts and letting the trains run between both of them. However, obviously we've updated our curves and gone to quite a bit wider radius. And unfortunately, the 072 curves will not fit anywhere over here. Believe me, I've measured, I've tried, I've looked. It's not happening. At least not in a good way. So, unfortunately, this layout is not going to be able to expand. It might be able to expand a tiny, tiny bit in the future. But this layout is going to have to stay strictly 042 or possibly in the future 054 curves. Another popular comment on the channel is people commenting that I should expand up versus expanding out. And yes, I could do that, but to be honest, I'm not really looking to do that. I'm trying to keep this layout, even though it's a bit smaller, the essence of somewhat of a high rail layout. So I'm not really looking to expand up or down. If I were to do that, I would be more open to doing that on this layout, the second layout. This layout's more of a traditional or toy-like layout, so I would be more open to doing that over here. But like I say, on this layout in particular, I'm not really thrilled about doing that. I've got my one elevated line on it right now, and I'm pretty content with that. Along with that, I had someone ask about doing inclines or grades up to the bridges. I've done those before in the past, and for me personally, I never had much luck with them. Obviously, I don't have a huge layout here, so the inclines and whatnot had to be on corners or curves, whatever you want to call it, and the big heavy steam engines would get stuck or caught up, or they just didn't like running on the steep inclines with the factory real tracks pieces or incline pieces or trestles. So I've done away from doing that. Like I say, it wasn't a very good running experience. Now I keep all the track level and just keep all the trestles or supports the same height. I also get a lot of comments on the track itself. People stating, I should use Gargrave's track or this track or that track. Believe me, if money was no issue, I would switch over to Gargrave's track. I think it's a great looking track system. However, I try to stay somewhat budget-minded, and everything on this layout, as you can see, is currently real tracks. Rather than spending a bunch of money converting all the track on this layout, just as I said last time, I decided to stick with the real tracks. And I do like it a lot. It's a great track system to me. It has its ups and downs just like every other track system. However, as I say, we'll go over that a little bit more in the future. And like I say, if money was no issue, we wouldn't be worried about expanding in here. We'd be building a building out back. But I'll have to hit the lotto for that. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and get started. The first task to take care of is demolishing the layout and removing everything from the table. However, I've made this pretty easy on myself, as I've mentioned in previous videos. As I've said before, none of this ballast is glued down anywhere, so all this stuff will come up real easy. We don't have to worry about damaging the grass or ripping it apart trying to get the ballast up so we can reuse the grass. The only thing really glued down anywhere are the people or figures, the trees, and some of the lights. But all of those come up fairly easily. They come separated from this grass pretty easily. And for all the areas where stuff was glued or is glued currently, it'll be hidden easily in the future with, future buildings, grass, whatever scenery work we want to do. Along with all of that, The track itself is screwed into the table, so we'll have to remove all these screws and get the track up off the table. Once we get everything off, we can carry on with actually expanding the layout. It doesn't look like a whole lot in the pictures, but this was about 4 or 5 hours worth of work. I was up until about 1 a.m. last night getting all this removed. Obviously, as you can see, we got all the stuff off, the grass removed, exposing the benchwork so we can start tearing that apart. However, we'll take care of that in the next video. I did leave a few buildings and accessories on the table, as I don't see those moving or needing to come up or be removed. Obviously, I still have some cleanup work to do. I get asked a lot where I keep the boxes for everything, and you can see them all back there. It's a big Jenga mess. But at least they're all under the table and you don't really see them. As I was mentioning earlier, obviously you can see all the spots in the grass where stuff was glued down and whatnot, and where it's been ripped up from being removed. Like I say, that's nothing to worry about. Once we get the new track laid out, as well as all the new scenery that'll be going up, a lot of that'll be hidden, and we can hide the rest of that. The one good thing, like I was mentioning at the beginning, none of that ballast was glued down. You could imagine how horrible this would work after ripping up all that ballast if it was glued down. Seeing as how this is probably going to be the final expansion for this layout, we might actually glue the ballast down this time, because I'm not going to be able to expand the layout anymore after performing this expansion. But we'll see what happens. This is going to conclude this video. I think we've got to a pretty good stopping point with everything cleared away from the layout. In the next video, we'll go about removing the old benchwork, installing the new benchwork and the grass, as well as getting our track plan together and the track laid. We're almost there. I'm getting pretty excited. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Make sure to tune in next time to see what's going on. But until then, y'all take care, and I'll see you the next go around.